This show is produced by Pastime Studios. Hello, and welcome to the Pastime Thinker podcast, Topical edition, Pastime Topics, I guess we'll call it. I'm your host, Frederick Piquette, and my permanent co-host in this segment is Josh.
You fucker sick of me yet? This is this is like my first. This is like my third time being here. So,
This is your third time. You've been a guest on the regular podcast twice now, and for people who
I think
don't know, like Josh and I, we've known each other a very fucking long time. Like,
since middle school, I believe.
yeah, since what, like grade two, something like that.
Two.
Grade
No,
two,
like grade
grade three.
two. I was in Ottawa.
I don't, dude. It's
Grade two.
so a lot of like elementary school is just blended into like maybe 2 years for me. Like, yeah, grade
Uh,
three then,
Actually, I think I was in Ottawa.
dude.
I be- okay. So we met in shit. Should I name the school?
Just
It doesn't
elementary school.
exist anymore. Yeah,
Elementary school,
yeah, elementary school. I think it's either grade 4 or 5.
maybe. But anyways, so yeah, Josh and I are very comfortable talking to each other, and we figured, we may as well do a segment where we talk about a lot of current affairs, things that are going on now, and we hope you guys enjoy it. This is going to be more of a introductory episode, and yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes.
You can obviously tell that we didn't plan this whatsoever.
Oh
It
no,
just
we're
happened.
just like, yeah, we'll just fucking throw it together. It's no big deal. But one thing I do want to get out of the way, like immediately, is that for a lot of things, Josh and I would say we pretty much agree on like 85% of things, maybe close to 90. There's a lot of stuff you and I agree on in terms of,
Object,
oh,
objection,
just in
objection.
go for it.
Final Fantasy 10.
Yeah, well, we have some high debate in some video game stuff, but for a lot of like world issues, current affairs, even like political views, uh, we do agree on a lot.
Hmm.
And like I'm very excited to do this, but I do also want to address the idea of echo chambers. Um, uh, I personally am not a fan of them,
Me though.
and
Hey, somebody we all agree of.
something we already agree on. And just one thing I want to get like out of the way immediately is that you and I, at least when we're talking, off the microphone, for the sake of conversation, you and I play a lot of devil's advocate, and I.
Ah,
I hope that we can continue to do that in this segment, but of course, respectfully, right?
I mean, that's the whole point of the devil advocate.
Yeah. Um. Uh.
Uh, in case people don't know what devil advocate means, basically whenever the Vagan want to bring someone to sainthood, they usually have someone to like disagree on
Yeah.
um like, hey, this guy should not be in sainthood. The most popular devil's advocate, I guess you say, is Mother Teresa, devil advocate. Fuck, what's his name?
I don't know where
Mother
you're
Teresa.
going with this.
Um,
It's essentially, a devil's advocate is
yeah,
just someone who
that's
disagrees just for the sake of disagreeing, not because that's, your worldview, not because it's something that you feel. It's just essentially disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing to further the conversation. That's
uh
that's
yeah,
how I've always
yeah.
seen it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of explaining the origins of devil advocate. So
Okay.
I do think that discussion is good.
Of
Like,
course.
the reason is the fact that if you only gain your political views on one side and like not the other, or the people that disagree with that, that can bring you into some, how do I explain this? Extremely terrible things.
Yeah.
Like
Like
y-
as
you
as
become you become like radicalized, basically.
yeah, like as much as, everyone wants their team to be the number one team, wants their worldviews to be the number one. There's flaws in every ideology, and I don't think it's ridiculous to point that out. I think everybody and anybody is open to criticism and should be open to their own criticism. Um, uh,
I agree with that.
and again, just for for future episodes and whatnot, if you or I wound up playing devil's advocate, it's just for the sake of conversation. I feel like if before we do any kind of devil's advocacy, we will very much clearly state our genuine opinion on the matter before we, point out some other worldviews or other, you know, pieces of information for the
Well,
sake of
unless the
disagreeing.
unless the devil advocate is just fucking ridiculous.
Oh
But
yeah, of course.
you know,
Sometimes, yeah, I'm not gonna get into that, but like, yeah, sometimes because there is like a balancing act, right? Like sometimes being the devil's advocate is just you're just being a dick, and as much as
yeah,
I love
definitely.
as much as I love being a dick, like there is a time and a place for that, right? Um, uh,
Oh yeah, I definitely know that firsthand.
like you're not gonna obviously take certain stances on certain things that are clearly apparent, right? Like not gonna do any Holocaust denial or anything like that. Um, uh,
It's all just GDI, Fred.
it's
Duh.
just CGI. I'm a
Ah, God. The ma- fuck, I'm not gonna get into that.
no.
As a history buff, I don't want to fucking get into that.
Yeah, so that I feel like that's something that we do have in our pocket too. Joshua is very much into history. You know a lot of stuff about, which is where I would even say current history. Like you know a lot of stuff that happened. I would say within the last 2 to 300 years, where like any kind of historical knowledge I have is like I got some cool tidbits on like ancient Greece, and like that's about it. But like a lot of like history within the last 2 to 300 years, you still tell me some pretty interesting fucking things.
True. But to be completely fair, my like wheelbarrow, like my house, is basically off of warfare. So like World War II, World War I, like
Hmm.
military stuff.
For sure.
Uh, and I do think that having history is really good because let's face it, as a species, we tend to repeat shit a lot.
Oh yeah,
Like,
there's again a lot of flavors come back within human history, right? Like it might
oh
not be
yeah,
the exact same thing, but you can often draw a lot of comparisons from one historical figure to another historical figure to a current figure and drop a lot of parallels. May they be positive or fucking negative, right? Usually people nowadays like to just focus on the negative stuff. Like,
Hitler,
yeah. I feel like you are
Hitler's,
more
Hitler, Stalin. Depends on what you think of, like fucking Marx. Like,
yeah. I do feel like though that you do hear more about villains than you do about heroes. Like metaphorically speaking, like throughout history.
I mean, negativity is way more powerful. Negativity is more powerful emotion than positivity.
Oh, of
Like,
course.
how do I explain this? You're gonna hear that a lot, by the way. Um, you can have like 10 like I love your videos, and you have like one say I fucking hate your video, or I hate your fucking voice. I hear that a lot, but
Yeah.
um, and that would just get you ignore the 10 like, hey, great video, and you focus on the one. I guess I'll hit my mic, sorry about that, but you focus on one negative comment more because that's kind of how your brain thinks.
Well,
That makes
it,
sense.
it sticks with you more. And I feel like I don't know if there might be a self deprecation aspect to it, because when people praise you, at least for me, like I'm very quick to dismiss like people praising me. Like I do not take compliments well. Like I always think that people are being sarcastic or just saying something because this is what you should say in this situation. So like I never take compliments seriously, but I take criticism extremely seriously, and I think a lot of people think that way.
Mm. That honestly, that's kind of bad
Oh, of course.
because um, say, fuck, you can tell this first time doing this. So a little prying ego is healthy, but
Oh, of course.
too much of it can completely fucking destroy you.
Oh,
You
absolutely,
know?
because you also don't want to be like a Kanye West, right? Where
Yeah, true.
you think you're basically Jesus in some instances.
But to be completely honest, Kanye has made some good shit.
Oh, he absolutely
Uh,
has. He absolutely deserves praise, but the way the guy talks about himself, I don't makes me a little uncomfortable.
mm. To be perfectly honest, I haven't been keeping up with Kanye. Like,
Hmm.
uh, I'm not a rap guy. That's kind of more your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Like,
I enjoy I enjoy the rap. Um,
yeah, and my musical style, one of the most premier musicians stormed the fucking Capitol. So whatever. Like, fuck me, I guess.
that was so long ago. Like it feels like that was
Yeah,
so long
yeah.
ago, and like the
Yeah, that's a fucking shit show, and we hadn't been playing this.
no, we didn't plan to talk about this, but it came up. But like how
Yeah, that's my fault. That's my
oh, it's
fault.
fine. How serious do you think those people should be trialed? Like, do you think they should get
Ooh.
jail time? Do you think they should go to prison? Do you think it should just be a fine? Like, what do you think should be done with those people?
Hmm. That's a very interesting question.
Like,
Again, this that fuck. I definitely think I definitely think jail time and maybe a fine.
yeah, I
Like,
like.
what do you charge them with? That's my question.
Well, I mean, they tried to some kind of revolt.
Excuse me.
I don't know like what kind of crime that's classified in the states, but like they essentially tried to overtake their government.
Hmm.
Like if you see some of the videos, like they're searching for certain political figures, calling out
Yeah.
for to assault them, to hurt them, to and I don't know. I think they need to have at least an eye kept on them. Like they should have their rights to own weapons. I think that's to start. I don't think those people should be owning weapons if they're willing to storm a building with the intent of inflicting harm. And depending, because I know like some people did more serious shit than others, right? Like there's some people that joined them to the building, but didn't go in. So like that's technically that's completely okay because they didn't actually break any laws. All they did was essentially march, which is well within the right to protest. But destruction of government property, breaking into a political building, calling for the harm of political figures while you're in the same building as them, while you're hunting them down. Like, it can't be taken lightly.
No, and honestly, like for anyone that was there, their life is basically fucking ruined. So
If you
it
can prove
depends
they
on
were there.
yeah, true. But for the people that had been, their lives are basically ruined. Like I think one guy is basically unhireable. So it depends on what you think of if that is enough punishment.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely think like for the most extreme side, there should be jail time, even like people who planned it. But
Wasn't this not planned? I thought this was like a sporadic, kind of just happened kind of thing.
apparently from research I have done, apparently it was either planned on like the whole like I okay, so I don't think they plan on storming the Capitol. They were like going to process like the fucking um the election, and
Mm-hmm.
then Trump is like, hey, and then Trump on Twitter was like, hey guys, the election is stolen, and that kind of kicked everything off.
Yeah.
If I'm making any sense, I'm probably not, but
Well, I mean, and this might be a good segue to something we wanted to speak about because you and I, we're Canadian, and earlier this month we
hey,
did have an election, and
yes,
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of upset people about how that election, went.
that's paper by the way, but nah, it's fine.
Um,
Especially you, especially with a shifting group.
oh yeah. This is something I will stand my ground on. If you're familiar with Canadian politics to any degree, I absolutely loathe the PPC. They're barely a legitimate party. They do not stand for I think what the average Canadian would stand for. Like I can genuinely find merit in any political Canadian political party, and I struggle to find merit in the PPC. And
Uh,
no,
what do you mean by that?
well, just their stance on COVID. They want to privatize healthcare. They're they're extremely homophobic. Like it's like not just like they're in favor of homophobic laws. It's they themselves are you can see it that they are homophobic, xenophobic. It's it's quite ludicrous, and the fact that they got all this attention in the Canadian election just because of their stance on the vaccine
I
is wild.
If I be completely honest with you, I think that's the sole reason why people voted for them.
Yeah,
Because if you look at all of the parties, they were all in favor of like COVID mandates and such, which is
some form, like some varying more than others, but just like the pure like lack of education, I want to say, because like I know that like there's people in my life that I knew personally who were voting PPC not knowing that the PPC held beliefs that were against them as a person. I know somebody who's in the LGBTQ community who was highly supporting the PPC, not knowing what their stances are on the gay community, and it was really rough to watch him argue with his friends as they're trying to explain to him how the PPC is not good for him, especially him specifically, and but he's not in favor of the vaccine, and that's all he was willing to look at. But I find when you're voting for somebody, you you can't just go off of one thing on their platform because it's not like you're going to vote them in and then for their entire time in power they're only going to be focusing on that one thing. Like they have like every political party has an entire agenda that they will be trying to push. So if there's only one thing on that agenda you like, but everything else on that agenda either you dislike or is basically designed to oppress someone like yourself, like you have to look at that a little bit more critically, I find.
basically you don't like one issue photos.
Yeah, cause like again, cause I can genuinely I can find merit in the Liberal Party. I find merit in the NDP. I find merit in the Conservative Party and in the Green Party. And I really really tried to like find something within the PPC that would at least have me consider voting for them, and there was absolutely nothing there for me. And then to watch the election happen where the Conservatives won the popular vote, but the Liberals won, the most seats.
One, one L quotes because technically, technically what it. Okay, so we first of all we gotta explain what the Canadian like election like is. So our election is different from the U.S.
Very.
Basically, we're allowed to have like minority governments,
Yeah.
and coming into the Liberals was they had the most seats, but they didn't have the 170 seats to order to have a majority government.
They didn't have
So
more
they,
than 50% of the seats.
I'm using 170 because that's the line, but
Yeah.
yeah. So basically the liberals was in a minority government, meaning that yes, Trudeau's like a prime minister, but it's he has to fight to get things changed.
He
That
has to
makes
get
sense.
other political parties on his side for certain issues because he doesn't have the majority of the votes, like within the government, right? And
Yes, I believe so. Like, it's not the US when it'd be like Joe Biden can do what the fuck he wants and the conservatives can fucking go cry in a corner, you know?
yeah,
Um, so basically what happened is that my only guess of the reason why he called an election is because I think he feel that since COVID was so bad, he might get that 170 to make his policies go faster because
yeah,
when you're the minority when you're the majority seats you can actually like do shit well like the
rather
other
quickly.
yeah and so a theme of the political talk fuck what's it called God damn. I'm so fucking unprepared for this. I'm so fucking sorry.
Oh, it's more than
Uh,
okay, man.
Canadian debates. Um, every single party basically trash Trudeau.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why did you fucking call this away? And I'm not gonna lie, it was so fucking funny.
I mean, I
I
did
know it.
hear though that like Trudeau did send some feelers out. Like he did ask, people, how would you feel about another election? How would you feel about another election? How would you feel if I called an election? And that the feedback he did get was like, yes, we would like an election. And like apparently that is what motivated him to like actually call the election. So,
I I never heard of that, but I think that's just me not doing enough research. Um, Also, I would like to kind of throw something out here.
sure.
Um, how do you feel about the PPC getting more votes than the Green Party?
Yeah, that's wild. So the Green Party in Canada is this party that they're
That
just
really,
very
really like Green.
yeah, they're very pro, tackling global warming, renewable resources. Like they're very green since the party name. And typically they'd get like single digit seats typically in most Canadian elections, like literally like maybe 1 to 3. And
Oh,
yeah, no,
on a good day.
with the PPC, like they're now at 0 seats, so they're completely gone. And with that, the PPC also screwed the Conservative Party out of probably what would have been quite a bit of seats. Like if you check almost, I'm not gonna say every, but like if you check a lot of ridings in Canada, there is a lot of Conservatives came in second place. They were only whatever 5,000 votes behind to get the seat. And then you'll check in that same riding, and the PPC got say 6,000 votes. And there was a lot of situations where people who would typically vote conservative and ended up swapping to PPC, like they definitely screwed the Conservative Party out of a lot of potential seats that, you know, I don't want to say would have changed the election by too much. I think Trudeau would have won regardless, to be completely honest. But it would
I
have
think
given
the
them a couple more seats.
I think the Liberals and Conservative will probably be either close or like that even.
Yeah.
Um, I would like. Uh, you can technically make that argument with the US too, because technically like ours is a 2 plus, but it's not really a 2 plus. Like
No, it's
you really only have like two options. You have the liberals or you have the Tories, which is the conservatives. Like
yeah.
Tories is another name for conservative. So if I say that, that's what I mean. But like you can make that exact same argument with the NDP and the liberals.
Yeah. Like I do understand like a lot of people praise Canada's, you know, political system because we have more than two parties. It's not basically left or right. Like there's quite a quite a diverse group, but the diversity I feel doesn't go far enough because it still essentially goes down to left and right. There's just different flavors of left and different flavors of right. Like
Take it back.
that's essentially what it gets down to. Like in in the states, like it is very this or that, and with Canada, we like to at least think that we're different than that, but it is just the same thing except there's just a couple more options, but all the options are still within the same vein of left or right. And because it is like that, the most popular left leaning party is always going to go up against the most popular right leaning party, which is why we're always stuck between the liberals and the conservatives.
Mm. What a Honestly, that kind of like Western politics in general because I feel like the only party that wasn't like a left or the right was like Theodore Roosevelt party in the U.S. like back in like 18 something something. What
Yeah.
the fuck's it? But
I'm not going to fault you for not knowing the exact fucking year. Don't worry about that.
the Winslow, no, shit. I think I'm even saying his name wrong. Oh fuck, this is so fucking disastrous. Um, so how do you really think someone who's in like either dead center or like center left and center right, even though technically that is what because like the liberal is typically like left center left and the right is like right center right. Like, do you think someone that is like dead center, like a moderate, I guess you can say,
Hmm.
do you think that have any chance of like winning an election? Period.
I don't think so because I think a lot of impartial people are rarer than you would think. I think we still have those team mentalities. Like even if there was enough impartial people, they would just rally up and make their own team, and it'd be made perhaps a three-way fight. But that's essentially all that would come down to, because there's people who have their team. Essentially, they have their color, and like they bleed that color, and there's a lot of people on both sides that will not hesitate because I've spoken to people that are conservative through and through, and no matter what comes up, what drama happens, no matter what the conservative party says, they dig their heels in and no, we're still voting conservative. And there's people who are liberal, and no matter what flaws in Trudeau gets pointed out or what potential injustices come come to fruition, they dig their heels in and they vote just liberal 100%. And I find that where you find most of these people is southern Ontario and the prairies. Like the prairies are very very conservative and southern Ontario is very very liberal, and then you get some splotches of impartial people in between there. At least looking at the election map, that's what it looks like.
Mm.
And yeah, I just don't think like I think the only way for that to work is if everybody became impartial, which is very difficult, and it sucks that that's the choice that we have to make because like it's fucking difficult. Like why do we have to choose between financial security or treating everyone equally? Shouldn't we be fucking doing both? And people are
Yeah.
forced to prioritize those kinds of things, and that's how they get picked into their team. And I find it ridiculous that that's something that you have to pick one or the other for some reason.
I feel like that come all down to the person because
Oh, for sure.
um That's another thing when it comes to like echo chambers and such.
Yeah,
Like usually those type of people only talk to people that are on the same I guess party.
yeah.
Yeah, and basically like I guess we get to talk about something else that we actually planned of. Like, see, we know what we're talking about.
We
That's
know what we're
uh,
doing. I'm looking
yeah,
at a
exactly. You know,
I'm looking at a Google Doc right now with talking points.
like I didn't even know we were fucking doing this today. Like I thought that um fuck, I gotta remember what it is. God, fuck's sake. I am sorry, everyone. Uh, fuck, I totally forgot what the fuck I was talking about.
I don't know, man.
Oh,
We were talking about left versus right.
thank you. Okay, so
Nice little piece of silence.
shut up. Do you think that the left should the how are you with debates? There we go. That's
How
good.
am I with debate?
Yeah, why not?
I would like to think I'm a skilled debater. I'm a
Are you a masturbator, Fred?
I'm a master debater. I'm a
Perfect. Wonderful. That's
but I've spoken about this on previous episodes of the Pastime Thinker podcast. Like I did kind of go through, for a lot of my youth, I was as left as fucking can be, and then I kind of went down a rabbit hole when I was more of a don't want to say young adult, but like I want to say between the ages of like maybe 16 to like 18, 16 to 19, I was like super right. I started watching like a lot of people on the right, so like I kind of swung from one extreme to the other, and like now I do find myself somewhere in the middle now. And with that, I do feel like I can argue from either side regardless of my own personal beliefs.
I'm 16 and I don't want to be political. I don't. Yeah, like okay, so this is gonna sound weird. Um, because let's face it, most people get their information in terms of politics from like two sources,
Yeah,
YouTube or Twitter.
essentially.
And
Either
and
your
basically
best tweets or your favorite YouTuber.
basically, and it also kind of depends on what era you're on because for me, I I when I was like around 15, 16, I didn't give a shit. Like I just wanted to play video games and watch anime. And then on when I was on IGN, I saw an article called "Video Game Gamers Shouldn't Be Your Target," and
Gamers
I
should
read,
not be your target.
yeah, in terms of like video games.
Okay.
Basically, the article was like, "Hey, gamers should not be your target when making video games," and I was like, "Wait a minute, this is fucking stupid." So I went to YouTube, I did some research, and then I found Thunderfoot,
Thunderfoot.
and then I basically became SJW Gamer Gale,
Oh shit. Okay.
like NTSW Gamer Gale. Like I started watching Sargon, Shoonhead, Quincy Reagan, all those people. And, you know, they make some good points, I would like to point out. And and then, you know, like I became older and shit, and I started watching like more moderate, more like left wing people, like Destiny, ContraPoints. I'm trying to find more people that could be fucking wild. And basically now I'm just kind of more of the like center, like whenever. That makes sense.
Yeah. Like I know that the motivation with me, I got into politics at a very young age, and like if I had to, I don't want to use the word blame, but if I had to attribute it to something, I would think it's just because of the households I grew up in. So I grew up in two different households. Both households were extremely, I don't want to say politically charged, but both households basically had CNN on 100% of the time. No matter if I was at my mom's house or my dad's house, there was always some kind of political something playing on the TV, and
That's kind of funny coming from your dad. Um,
um, uh,
uh, Also, you kind of cut me off there because I
Oh,
was kind of going with that.
oh, my
Sorry.
apologies.
Yeah, no worries. Again, we'll fucking figure this out.
Yeah.
So that's how I got basically introduction into politics and such.
Mm-hmm.
Like for someone with 2021 right now, like I would not be surprised for like the other 16-year-olds. They're like watching bread tubers, Foz, the Sobs, it H Hungry Box. Fuck. Yeah,
I don't
sorry.
know a single person you're naming,
Um,
to be completely fucking honest.
basically the socialists.
Oh, okay.
So
That's making a huge, like, uprise. I feel like a lot of people are looking into socialism.
Hassan,
Hassan, I watch a lot of Hassan.
yeah, he's technically like one of the bread tubers, but
Okay.
the reason I'm kind of going into this is because I feel like the algorithms of both YouTube and Twitter
Mm-hmm.
can play a factor of what you're watching. Because let's say, I guess I gotta explain what the YouTube algorithm is.
It's
So,
just like,
TLDR, if I watch a hockey video, for example, I get recommended more hockey videos.
yeah.
So, if I watch something from the left or the right, like right here, right in front of me, I have a Destiny video. Um, like I get to recommend more of his videos and such.
Yeah.
So um that's kind of how like YouTube and Twitter and I guess Facebook also kind of shape the political landscape.
Oh,
Um
absolutely.
that's
And it
that
attributes to the echo chambers.
Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely 100% true.
But
I was actually about to ask you about that. Like how do you feel about the algorithm kind of bring you to one thing or the other? I
so
got something in my microphone. I'm so fucking sorry.
so interestingly enough, I'll say this point and then we'll take a quick break. It was actually the algorithm that like pulled me out of it when I completely swapped to the other side, because when I was like really really into the right, I was watching Ben Shapiro, I was watching Steven Crowder, I was watching Milo Monopolis. I can never say his fucking name right.
I usually do my blah, 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 because
Yeah,
let's face it, nobody does.
yeah, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Milo Monopolis, Jordan Peterson, and I guess I don't know if this was just something that the YouTube algorithm fucked up, but then it was basically like, "Oh, you like Ben Shapiro? Well, here's a video of someone commenting on a Ben Shapiro video." So I'm like, "Oh, someone's like breaking down a Ben Shapiro video." And I clicked on it and it was a critique video. This guy was critiquing Ben Shapiro. He was essentially deflating all of his points. Well, I wouldn't say deflate, but he was pointing out flaws in Ben Shapiro's logic. And I'm like, oh shit. And then like I kind of had like a I've been listening to a dumbass this whole time. And then I just went down that rabbit hole and I kept watching basically response videos to Steven Crowder, response videos to Ben Shapiro, response videos to Milo Yiannopoulos, and that's actually what kind of helped me get a little bit more centered instead of being exclusively on one side or the other. And that has to be because of the algorithm. Otherwise, why would they suggest that video to me, right?
I agree with that. Um, the point I was making with the algorithm is that it can bring you to like one end of the sides of the other.
Yeah.
It depends on what's popular on YouTube, basically.
Oh, for
So
sure. Like, remember when YouTube was basically just a place to watch Minecraft videos?
I didn't even watch Minecraft videos. I was a League of
Oh,
Legends type of guy.
I was so into Minecraft. But we're gonna take a quick break right now.
We were saying mining away.
Alrighty. Hey, I just wanted to take this time to acknowledge that it has been a while, but I've been busy working on other projects along with my day job. While I was not posting here, I was posting another series that I created called Project Maternity. All of season one is available to listen to now on YouTube, Spotify, and Google Podcast. So if you guys want to check out something else I'm working on, you can definitely show some support that way. Along with this new topical segment that I'm doing with Josh, I will also be focusing on getting more of the regular podcast out as well. And if you guys want to go support Josh as well, you can check him out on Twitch as King Tamacross, and he's under the same name on YouTube as well. Let's get back to the episode. All right, and we're back. and
Yes, it was a wonderful wink.
it was a wonderful wank. And I think now that you know we've dedicated the whole front half, at least, of this episode to kind of explain how you and I think, how we come to our line of thinking and stuff like that. Like, let's actually talk about something topical, and I think we should talk about the vaccines and the vaccine mandates and just everything in between. How do you feel about that?
Hmm. Well, that depends. What do you think about that?
I mean, I am fully vaccinated. I think that unless you have a very legitimate reason not to get it, I think you should get it. I'm not trying to say that we should push it on every single person, but I think we should push it on any person who doesn't have a legitimate reason not to get it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And when I say push, I do not mean changing the laws or making their lives difficult. I just meant like they should be encouraged to, they should be gently pushed to, if that makes sense. I don't think that we should be,
Break down the doors with the needle in
yeah.
hand.
Yeah, that's not what I mean when I say that. I just mean it's just if you're skeptic about the vaccine, I would say do more research, to be completely fucking honest. Because if you've done your research and you're still skeptical, I don't think you've done enough research, to be
Hmm.
completely
I,
honest.
I agree with you, but the other thing is that a lot of people are kind of worried that, let's say, um, right now there's like a passport mandate. Like,
Yeah.
basically, in order to enter like certain businesses, you gotta show that you're like partially or fully vaccinated.
Which I do not
So,
agree with. I will say that right now. I do not agree with the vaccine passport. However, I do understand what got us here. Because at least speaking from a Canadian who lives specifically in Ontario, uh, we've had two or three lockdowns already. And I feel like, you know, our government officials had a choice. It was probably between the passports or another lockdown. And seeing how the response was to the last three lockdowns, they probably thought that that would cause more discourse than the passport, to be completely honest.
um, the reason I mentioned that is that a lot of people don't. Technically, the passport is supposed to be temporary,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't think it will be. Like it's kind of like one of those like if you give the government an inch, they would take a mile.
Yeah. Which
Um,
again, which is why like I'm not entirely in favor of the passport to begin with. But since I am pro-vaccine and I am fully vaccinated, me personally, I have no problem with using the vaccine passport just because I so happen to be fully vaccinated anyways, so it doesn't really hinder my life to any capacity. Um, uh,
plastic can make plastic can make better food at home. Like,
but
and if I be okay, so for my vaccination like status, I am unvaccinated. I
okay,
am planning on changing that. The reason why I didn't get the vaccine like right away is that my lifestyle is basically I'm in my room like 24/7.
yeah,
So, um, I feel like my thought process is that I am completely fine being one of the last person to get the vaccine because like I was always planning to get the vaccine. Like I would like
hmm,
to fucking bring this out. Like I'm not anti-vax. I'm not that stupid, but um. I was trying to be the last one, and basically, like I think, like I'm planning on the end of October to be fully vaccinated,
okay,
and so when it comes to the vaccine mandates, I fully agreed on what I fully agreed like you should not be forced to get the vaccine,
hmm,
but you gotta I feel like this whole debate is down to do you trust the government or not?
That in all honesty, that is kind of what it sounds like, and it's just I would probably be more skeptical of the vaccine if it was, say, a purely Canadian issue, a purely American issue. But how can you say you don't want to get the vaccine because you do not trust your government when governments that have nothing to do with your governments are also handing out, setting these precedences? Um, uh, like if say for the sake of argument, COVID-19 was a purely Canadian issue, I'd probably be a little bit more skeptical too, because be like, okay, well, this is the Canadian government dealing with something in Canada. What the fuck are they doing? But when there's other countries that are borderline over COVID-19 because they took it miles more seriously than we did, and you're fighting your own government back on this when we're not the only ones fighting this, I just feel like that's a weak argument. Because when you say is I don't trust the government, my response is, well, which government don't you trust? Because they're all fucking doing this.
That is true. That's just what I hear.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I understand that.
But another thing is that a lot of people don't think like 1 year is enough for vaccine research in order to do it. Like I can fully understand being skeptical
Mm-hmm.
when it first came out. But
Yeah.
now since we have data and like about what 4 billion, 5 billion people in the world have the shot now.
At least their first dose, which again, like that sounds like just a statistic, 3.54 billion people. That's literally half of Earth's population is
Yeah,
has at
too.
least their first shot. Like how much more data do you need?
Like yeah, exactly, like yes, there is side effects when it comes to vaccine, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a side effects with fucking everything. Like I just cough by drinking water for fuck's sakes, you
Like
know?
I'll like full disclosure, like I had a reaction to the second shot. I'm still not skeptical of the vaccine. I was sick for about a day. Felt really woozy, very like almost motion sick. Like it was almost like a motion sickness that kind of stuck around for about 24 hours. And like I still don't waver in my opinion. Like I'm still very pro vaccine, and I do think that unless you have a legitimate reason beyond I'm scared or beyond I'm skeptical, like I don't think that's a good enough fucking reason. Like I think
Even even Trump said to get the vaccine. Like
yeah.
that should be it. Like that should be like well that's it. We're getting the vaccine like now.
Well, who knows how many people that actually turned over though. Like I know that like there specifically he got booed for it, but like there's probably a couple of diehard Trumpers who heard him say that and possibly went and got vaccinated. Like
True, true. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how again, I fully think that you should get vaccinated. The the I know it's kind of a meme, but the studies show that both vaccines, or I think there's three of them now. I'm not sure. I'll just use the fucking Pfizer and the
mhm.
JJO. Both of them have an over 90% effective rate.
Yeah.
And basically, if you get COVID, you basically, it was like kind of like, that's another thing. It's just a flu, bro. Like, that's another thing, but we're not fucking going down. Um, Even if the the side effects is like severe, I think it's probably still better than getting the COVID, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's better to be vaccine in general, better to be safe than sorry?
That's exactly
Because
it.
there is no they have really like no proof of vaccines in general that they're dangerous. Like, you know what? I'll just throw this out. People who said like I don't want my children to get vaccinated because then they'll be autistic. Okay, so first of all, as someone with a disability, fuck you. And second of all, wouldn't you want your child to be autistic or dead.
That's essentially it. Like, it's just. Plus, it does. I know this is a bit of a segue, but if you're afraid of your child to live in this world with a disability, then you're recognizing how shitty we treat disabled people in this world.
Ooh. I have forgot. I have to agree with you because let's face it, I'm using my experience here,
Oh, go
but
yeah.
I was not the most popular person in school.
Oh, I know. I was there.
I I know. I was definitely bullied because of my disability and such. Like, let's face it, I was fucking weird when I was a child.
No, I know. And like, I got picked on a little bit just for being fucking friends with you, which was
Yeah,
fucking
I'm sorry about
still
that.
I even then I couldn't fucking comprehend.
Yeah, like it's kind of personal, but um, I didn't really. But I'm gonna get fucking clown for this, guaranteed. But um, I didn't really go to school that much because of it. Like
Yeah.
I would disappear with muscle and with just excuse after excuse after excuse. Like sickness, like other stuff, basically. That was a stupid decision on my part. Um, and I kind of feel like how do I explain this? I should probably go back on the autism and vaccine and such. I can't. Do you feel like it's ableist of the parents that saying that they don't want a autistic child?
Yeah, because it literally like that's literally how the only way I've ever seen it. It's either you're afraid to have to deal with a child with a disability, or you recognize how people with disabilities are treated, and you would rather your kid be dead than go through that.
Yeah, true. Because let's face it, um, I this is kind of a pivot, but there's like on TikTok, like
Oh, I don't have TikTok.
I me though, but I tend to see on like Reddit and such. There's a lot of people that like to fake disabilities,
Yeah,
and
that's a thing right now.
I'm just saying here, like, why? You know, like it's gonna sound really fucking depressing, but I would kill to be normal. You know,
Yeah,
like I would kill to have my brain be like yours, for example. You know, like fuck, I would kill them. I would kill to have my voice change. I would kill to have like
yeah.
ah fuck
And then on the flip side, there's people who'd rather
that
have
bad.
their child die than
Yeah,
go
yeah. I'm
through
going
what
off
you went through.
topic, but
Yeah, but it's fine though because it serves to the conversation. Like,
true. But I just never fully understand. They're just fuck. It's getting fucking depressing now. I'm so sorry. So the reason I brought that up is like, yeah, are we really gonna have the what society treats as disabled? Like, um, yeah, I guess we are. Fuck, even when it comes to the doctors and such, you'd be surprised how many times I get asked, "Can you read?"
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, like they literally said, like, "Hey, can you read?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm not that disabled, you know."
Just checking. You can read, right?
Yeah, but I understand why they do it. It's just like whenever I hear that, I was like, God, fuck.
Yeah. And
Like I get it, but
but yeah, just to
uh,
go back
sorry about
on
that.
to no, it's fine. Like fucking tell your story, buddy. Um, uh, that's and like these were arguments before COVID was just a thing. Those were arguments people used for just regular vaccinations.
I
And
mean, I never heard of a vaccine making you autistic, but that's just me.
oh, but there's people that fucking swear by it. People
Yeah,
that swear like
I,
my My 8-month-year-old was fine until the ninth month came around and they got vaccinated, and oh boy, was there a shift in their personality from that 8 to 9 months of life.
Oh my
Like,
god, it's almost like they're growing up or something.
yeah, like it's ridiculous.
And fuck, most of the time, fucking disabilities are genetic. So, like,
Yeah, it wasn't the vaccine, mom. It was you.
yeah, exactly. It was that you, my dad, or my fucking ancestors.
Yeah, but
It's just fucking frustrating, like, with someone like me. Like,
oh yeah, which is
um,
something that people don't take into account when they're spouting bullshit because if they're so afraid of their child having a disability, then what's the likelihood that they actually consider disabled people when they're talking, right?
yeah, true, true. Like, fuck, even the fucking research paper that the fucking vaccine called autism came of, like, that was denounced and the guy fucking lost his license.
Yeah, because it
Like,
was fucking bullshit.
I, yeah, it's exactly. I think he was actually pushing for his own vaccine, if I remember
Oh,
correctly.
really? I didn't know that much into it. I just know that there was technically, quote unquote, a study done, and that the person who conducted it was like absolutely eviscerated, proven wrong on multiple accounts for multiple points, and
I could be wrong on that. Like, if anyone would like to fucking correct me on things, I'll be happy to talk, you know?
oh, for sure.
Um, I know this is made for Spotify type of podcast, but we do also post it on YouTube too. So if you want to leave comments there, go nuts.
Oh, for sure. If there's anything anybody would like us to talk about in particular, like don't fucking hesitate. Ask us to talk about certain stuff. We might take a little bit because we have to look into it and maybe like learn enough to form an opinion. But yeah, if anyone wants us
Like,
to talk about things in particular, like let us know.
like believe it or not, we try to do research on this type of stuff. Like,
Absolutely.
uh, but yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about, excuse me, the disability type of
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
And then it moves on to other like this was a conversation I was just having where someone is vaccine hesitant because I don't know the exact fucking number, but 0.000 fucking whatever chance of uh, having a blockage or a stroke or something like that. When it's already been proven that you're literally 80, like something ridiculous, like 80 times more likely to get the same side effect from taking birth control. It was like, okay, well, there's a lot of women out there taking a higher gamble than that on a daily fucking basis with birth control, but you won't roll the dice on it twice with much, much better odds. It's two fucking shots.
and I think COVID also give you heart attack, strokes. Like, I think COVID also give you like heart problems too, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, if you already have a breathing issue or a heart issue, like COVID itself will wreck you.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah.
Like I don't know, like I'm more than okay to like hear other opinions, but like this is kind of where I'm set at. I really haven't read anything that changes my mind. Like everything I've heard or read about the vaccine hesitancy specifically with COVID, either I manage to logic my way out of it myself or I immediately find other material disproving it.
Yeah. Like, again, like, I don't want to give them praise, but I can understand being skeptic, especially when it comes from like the government and such.
Oh, for sure.
But they'll just they'll just study after study after study after study that the COVID the vaccines are safe. You know, like, yes, you can. Yes, there's always a small percent. I'm repeating myself, but yes, there's a small percentage that you might get
An adverse
side
reaction.
effect.
Yeah.
But
And
then again, you can fucking do that with anything, like food, drinks,
yeah.
water, anything.
And
So, so what? Do you not consume anything right now? Like,
yeah. And
you'd be dead you'd be dead in 3 days.
yeah. And I think my favorite, not my
Fuck,
favorite, but
ale is a fucking ale is a fucking like compound. Like, Another thing with COVID, like they don't like the long, like scientific names on it.
Yeah,
And I'm just saying here, like the air you breathe is fucking two hydrogen and one oxygen, I believe. Yes, hopefully,
yeah.
maybe.
H2O.
Thank you.
Well, that's water actually. H2O is water.
Fuck. Okay, you just okay. First of all,
This
it's
is
been
the
like
this is the official
I
disclosure that there are gaps in mine and Josh's knowledge.
shut up. It's been like fucking. It's been like 60 years since I've been out of school. Okay, I'm sorry,
I think something that
but
bothers me is when people
sorry.
find sorry, is it people find people in the medical industry that are anti-vax or vaccine hesitant and use that as a shield to justify their own skepticism. And
Well,
my immediate response to that is when you watch a fucking toothpaste commercial. Insert toothpaste here. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend.
it
Are you not gonna use that toothpaste because of the 1 out of 10 dentists that don't approve it?
apparently the reason why they do that is to make sure they don't get sued.
Yeah, but my point still
I
stands.
Oh, I fully understand your point. Like, I have heard people say like, "Oh, don't look at the 9 out of 10. Look at don't don't listen to the 9 out of 10 dentists. Listen to the 1 out of 10 dentists." I was like, okay, what's your research? What's your proof? You know,
Yeah.
like I can say that I can say like I'm fucking Pokemon's boyfriend, and I have to show proof. You know, like there's no fucking way I'm fucking Pokemon. Like,
Yeah. And
but
it's a huge, I forget the exact term for it, but it's a logical fallacy where um uh, where my entire point is you have to disprove me is not an argument. Like if I said, you know, in in the middle of the sun, there's a small core of rock hard, like rock candy, and I am right unless you can prove me wrong. Like that's a ideological fallacy. Like you can't make arguments like that. I can't say that around Neptune there's a dragon made out of Laffy Taffy that burrows deep, and unless you can physically prove me wrong, that makes me right.
that the moon is made out of
The
cheese,
moon is
or
made of. I mean, that has been proven because we've literally brought moon rocks back to Earth, but
sake. You know, I wonder
whatever.
what they taste like. I wonder what they taste like. You know,
Probably like
but then
chalk.
again, if you're gonna use the fallacies like type of stuff, then you gotta figure in the fallacy, which is basically like you use a fallacy size of. I'm probably talking what you know. What, fuck it, cut this out. But yeah, I fully understand what you mean. Like
Yeah,
if you're gonna bring something that especially that has to do with science, you gotta back it up. You know,
exactly.
fuck anything, you gotta back it up. You know.
Because if you don't have the capacity to prove yourself right, then you can't put the burden on me to prove yourself wrong.
Yeah.
Because then it's just two people talking about something they know nothing about.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
I think that might be a good note to leave this episode off on. Two dudes not knowing what they're talking about.
Yeah. Well, assholes are like opinions. Everybody has one. You know.
Exactly. But yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
gonna end it here.
Hopefully,
And
we get better at this.
yeah, we better get better at this. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, let us know. If there's something you want us to talk about specifically, fucking let us know. Where the whole point of this is just Josh and I like talking to each other, and we thought we may as well monetize it. No,
Wait, we make money off this? That's
no. All joking aside, yeah, this is just two friends talking about topical stuff, and yeah, if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do you have any departing thoughts, Josh? Good talk, Josh. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Yes. I tried to come something weird, but I couldn't think of anything.
All right. All right. Well,
Okay, have a good day, everyone.
bye bye.
If you am I allowed to shout myself out
Oh,
or just
fucking
leave it?
go for it. We're still in this, everybody.
Okay, I'll be quick. So, if you want to yell at me at anything, my Twitter is King Tamacross, which is KingTamacross. That's all I'm gonna say, and yeah, back to you, Fred.
All right. Yeah, if you want to support any other projects of ours, I may as well throw this out. There's the Pastime Thinker podcast, which this is already being hosted on, but who knows for how long. This might end up being its own show with its own platform. And if you want to see something that both Josh and I worked on, it's an e-series that I wrote and Josh helped with the audio mixing. It's called Project Maternity. And at the same handle that Josh mentioned with his Twitter, him and I also stream every Friday. If you're into JRPGs, that's mainly what him and I specifically play. And yeah, come check us out. All right. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
have have a good day, everyone.